Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. First, we'll pay our respect to our teacher, Kalyana Mitra, noble friend, most terrible Kibatgara Thero, Pingat Lokusami Nase, for teaching us this supreme Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Meritorious devotees, you know that the Buddha, he had a special skill when it came to teaching others. Like he was the fearless tamer of people who were to be tamed. He had this ability whereby he knew the exact words to use to make a person realize the Dhamma, the teachings. So it's quite amazing how he could pick the right words depending on that person, that they attain the fruits of the path, in a way that they could reap the maximum benefit from the Dhamma. In this way, he could adapt his teaching, his style of delivery. Why was Buddha capable of this? How was he able to do this? What skill did he possess to make that possible? Do you know? What was the skill? Normally, from the knowledge you have at the moment, the teachings, how could Buddha do that? Pick the right words, the right sutta. Sutta in the say now it's a sutta for us, but for Buddha it's a delivery, teaching. No? And we read in many suttas at the end of the sutta, there are 10 fruits of the path. Think of Bahaya Dharachirya, no? Just a few words. And he realized the Dhamma, became an Arahant. Buddha was capable of doing this because he had, of course, many qualities. That is what makes a Buddha. So think of a Pacheka Buddha. Pacheka Buddha, though they have realized the Dhamma, they can't teach. Therefore, they cannot establish a dispensation like a Samma Sambuddha. So, it's a package, but still there are certain prominent qualities that help Buddha to do that. That is, he had the, what you call the eye of the Buddha, Buddha Chakku. So this Buddha Chakku, or the eye of the Buddha, consists of two things. What are these two? Indiya Paro Pariyatta Jnana, we say. And Asya Anusaya Jnana. Indiya Paro Pariyatta Jnana means Buddha had the ability or the skill to see the faculties. Indriya means the faculties. What faculties? The faculty of
spiritual
Shraddha, faith, virya, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, what samadhi, concentration, no, and wisdom. So 5 faculties all in all. So Buddha had the skill, the ability to see how these faculties, their maturity in a person, and accordingly he would teach. Because in each person, these faculties manifest in a different manner. For them, they are very strong. For in some, it's mild or moderate. In others, it's weak. So also Buddha, Asyanusañāṇa is what's that? Buddha could see how in this sansaric journey, he has developed certain qualities that are conducive to reaching in the Dhamma, to realizing the Dhamma. Because even in past life, they may have practiced in a past Buddha's dispensation certain qualities like impermanent meditation, asubha meditation, foulness meditation. Likewise, there are certain qualities you have matured, you have nurtured throughout your sansaric journey, and there, to some extent, there is a maturity in that person with regard to that aspect. And Buddha can use that wholesome quality within that person to make him realize the Dhamma. That is why Buddha was so very skilled in taming people, making them realize the teachings. So I remember there was an incident where there was a certain young monk. He was a disciple of Venerable Arahant Sariputta. He was a very keen practitioner, very obedient, very humble. He had all the qualities necessary for a person to realize the Dhamma, in the sense that he had the qualities, the patience, the striving, the effort, but still he could not realize the teachings. Venerable Arahant Sariputta would teach him different meditations. Okay, if this doesn't, try this. Whatever meditation he would try, it didn't work out for him. So even he tried foulness meditation, but still didn't work out. So then at the end, like at a loss for an answer, Venerable Arahant Sariputta took him to the Buddha. Then Buddha said, Buddha, what did he do? He with his divine, his powers, supernatural powers, he created the lotus, a golden lotus, a glittering lotus. So and he kept it in front of this young monk and asked him, now look at this lotus. Now he's looking and he is fully focused on the glittering lotus. It's made of gold. Then Buddha made the lotus gradually wither. And while that was happening, Buddha taught him the Dhamma on the impermanence, the foulness of the things, how they change over time. They change their form and lose their beauty. He instantly realized the Dhamma. Just like that. So what was the obstacle for him? In past lives, as I remember, all throughout 500 past lives, he had been born in a family of a goldsmith. So he had lived a life whereby he always found delight in decorative things. So always he saw the beauty of things. So it was very difficult for him to see the foulness of certain things. It was beyond him to see that. So therefore, though he practiced foulness meditation, he found it difficult to see through to this reality. Because why? The habits. So likewise, in our lives also, there are certain habits, habituations that we carry throughout the samsaric journey. It can be both good and bad. So let's say like if you are a disobedient person to a teacher in this life, it can carry throughout samsara. So it is very important therefore to know whatever things you develop in this life that is good is going to help you. All the bad habits you pick up, that baggage also you will take with you. And it will make you very difficult for you to realize the Dhamma along the way. So that is why we have to always try to develop the wholesome. So in this way, Buddha had this ability, the skill to make a person realize by the, because he saw these defects in the person and also the plus points and the minuses, and accordingly he would teach. So today also I thought we would discuss a sutta. In this sutta also we come across a certain faculty, another skill that Buddha possessed. So thereby he could teach the Dhamma to a certain person. He knew like how his life would pan out, his spiritual journey, what would happen. He knew beforehand. Okay, he had that ability. So today's sutta is its name is the India Purisindriyañāṇasutta. Okay, so that means the knowledge of the faculties. Purisa Indriya Jnana Sutta. Okay, that's the name of the sutta. So Buddha said, this is how it begins. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was wandering on tour among the Kosalans together with a large sangha of bhikkhus. So on tour, he arrived at Kosalan town named Dandakappa in Kosalan. Okay, a town in Kosala, the kingdom of Kosala. The name of the town was Dandakappa. So then the Blessed One left the highway and sat down on a seat prepared for him at the foot of a tree. And those monks who came with the Buddha, they went to the town, to the forest, to find a place where they could rest, a rest house. Then the Venerable Ananda Thero, together with another group of monks, went down to the Achiravati river to bathe. So they wanted to bathe because they wanted to, I think, as I remember, they want to reside there for the vast season. So they were looking for suitable lodgings to stay. Meanwhile, the other monks, together with Venerable Ananda, they wanted to bathe and they went to the river Achiravati nearby. So having finished bathing, Venerable Ananda came out of the water and he stood in one rope and he was drying his body, having bathed. Then a certain bhikkhu, it says here, approached the Venerable Ananda and said to him, Friend Ananda, was it after full consideration that the Blessed One declared of Devadatta? Devadatta is bound for the plane of misery, bound for hell, and he will remain there for the eon, unredeemable. Or did he say this only figuratively? Okay. So that means by that time Buddha had made a certain statement. He had said something about Devadatta. What had he said? He had said that after that straight away he will be born in hell. And there is no way of helping him. Unredeemable, Buddha had said. So this monk had doubt, it seems, about this statement. So he's asking, is just he speaking figuratively or he has contemplated upon this? He is fully aware of what the gravity of what he's saying. That's the question he was asking. So it seems like he was not, he didn't have as much faith in the Buddha as you are supposed to have as a monk. So then Venerable Anandathero replies, it was just in this way, friend, that the Blessed One declared it. So Anandathero said, if the Buddha said so, that he would be reborn in hell straight away, and there is no one who can help him, he's unredeemable, then that is so. Why? That's the words of the Buddha. Because in the Dasabala Jnana, we have like one of the 10 powers of the Buddha is that if he said that something is going to happen in this way, it would exactly happen that way. That is a given. So Venerable Anandthero, of course, had supreme confidence in the Buddha. He said, like, look, if that's what the Buddha said, that's what's going to happen. So then thereafter, after bathing, after dying himself, when they return, Venerable Anandthero retells the Buddha of what had happened, of this talk he had with this monk. Then Buddha says, Ananda, that bhikkhu must be either newly ordained, not long gone forth, or a foolish and incompetent elder. For when this was declared by me definitively, how can he see any ambiguity in it? The Buddha said either he is a newly ordained monk. If he is an elder, then he is a fool. Why? Even though he had been ordained for so many years, still he could not recognize who the Buddha is, his qualities. So therefore he doubted the words. No, a definitive statement made by the Buddha, he shows some ambiguity there. Why? Because lack of faith. So then Buddha goes on to say, Ananda, I do not see even one other person, Ananda, about whom I have made a declaration after giving him such full consideration as Devadatta. I have not focused on any other person as much as I have done, as I have on Devadatta, to make such a statement, Buddha said. As long as I saw even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of bright quality in Devadatta, I did not declare of him that Devadatta is bound for the plane of misery, bound for hell, and he will remain there for an eon unredeemable. So Buddha says, as long as I saw even a wee bit of good in that person, in Devadatta, I did not declare that he would straight away be born in the hell world. So all the wholesome was lost in him. In who? In Devadatta. Not even a fraction of the wholesome was left in him. So no bright quality, no good quality was to be found in Devadatta. That is why Buddha made this statement, he said. And he gives a nice simile to this effect. What the simile? Suppose there was a cesspit deeper than a man's height, full of feces, right up to the top, and a man was sunk in it so that he was submerged. Like his head was submerged in feces, totally covered. That means there is not even a single point on his body where there is no feces. He is totally covered with feces. Then Buddha said that a man would appear desiring his good welfare and security. Wishing to pull him out from the cesspit, he would go around the cesspit on all sides, but would not see even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of the man not smeared with feces, where he might get a grip and pull him out. So a man, out of compassion, is trying to help him, but that person is totally covered, smeared with feces, that he cannot find a place by which he could pull him out without smearing himself with feces. So to Anand, it was only when I did not see even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of a bright quality in Devadatta that I declared of him, Devadatta is bound for the plane of misery, bound for hell, and he will remain there for an eon's time, unredeemable. So in this way, Buddha clearly pointed out why he had made the statement. So then Buddha said, Sachetum me ananda suneyata tathagatassa purisindriyañāṇāni vibhajantassāti. If Ananda, you would listen to the Tathagata's knowledge of a person's faculties, I will analyze them. Then Buddha reveals the knowledge, the power or the skill or the ability Buddha possessed, by which he could in this way scan through a person and see certain qualities, the wholesome and the unwholesome, how they manifest in a person, how they affect a person in this life and the life after. He could see all that. He could scan a person with this quality. It's called Purisindriyañāṇa. The sutta is named after that, Purisindriyañāṇasutta, knowledge of the person's faculties. Okay. So Buddha says, if Ananda, you would listen to the Tathagata's knowledge of a person's faculties, I will analyze them. Okay, then Buddha goes on to say, so normally when we say faculties, what are the things that come to our mind according to the teachings of the Buddha? What are the faculties we know of? Indriya?
The eye,
Yeah, eye,
eye,
ear,
constant,
yeah,
nose,
nose, and
body.
body and mind. The 6 faculties, no, 6 sense faculties. But here the faculties means the wholesome roots and the unwholesome roots. So 2 faculties in that sense. There are 2 faculties in a person, the wholesome roots and the unwholesome roots. What are the unwholesome roots? Greed, anger, and delusion. Wholesome roots are non-greed, non-anger, and non-delusion. So these are faculties. Okay, then Buddha goes on to say, then Venerable Ananda invites Buddha, Etassa bhagavā kālo, etassa sugata kālo, yang bhagavā purisindriyañāṇāni vibhajaya, bhagavato sutta bhikkhu dhāre santiti. Which means it is the time for this blessed one. It is the time for this fortunate one. The blessed one should analyze his knowledges of a person's faculties. Having heard this from the blessed one, the bhikkhus will retain in mind. In this way, Venerable Ananda invites the Buddha to teach of the faculties. So then Buddha said, Tena Ananda sunahi sadhukam manasikaroti bhasissamiti. Well then Ananda, listen and attend closely, I will speak. Then Buddha goes on to teach the 6 these faculties. Okay, not the 6 faculties, 2 faculties, no? The wholesome roots and the unwholesome roots. So then Buddha said, here Ananda, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. So that means Buddha can penetrate. That means he sees into another person's mind. That is one of the supernatural qualities Buddha possessed. He could see into another person's mind. And but like even devas can see into another person's mind, anyone can. But they don't see these things. How these faculties, the wholesome and unwholesome roots manifest in a person, that only a Buddha can see. So in the sense that how it affects the person and the whole It's something that goes beyond the perception, the view of any other being. Anyone can't read into a person's mind to the extent the Buddha could. Okay? So Buddha said, here Ananda, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. Wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. Okay? That's the first thing Buddha sees. Both the wholesome and unwholesome qualities exist in this person. Then Buddha said, the same person, I look into his mind, I penetrate his mind later. On a later occasion, then I see, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand of him in this way. This person's wholesome qualities have disappeared. Unwholesome qualities are manifest. That means the wholesome qualities have declined. The unwholesome qualities have come to the forefront. They have grown, where the wholesome fraction has declined. But then Buddha says, but he has a wholesome root that has not been eradicated. But still there is the residue, there is the wholesome root. It's there. From that wholesome root of his, the wholesome will appear. Okay? You have to follow me closely, or you won't understand, like when we go forward with the sutta. Okay, the first scenario is there's a person, Buddha sees there's both the wholesome and the unwholesome within him, both qualities. Then what happens? Later on, Buddha, when he reads his mind, he sees he has declined in the wholesome. No? He has that's what the person's wholesome qualities have disappeared. Unwholesome qualities are manifest, where the unwholesome has grown in that person, the wholesome has disappeared, declined. But he has wholesome root. Wholesome roots are still there. From them, the wholesome will reappear and grow. Okay, that's the first scenario. He sees such people that happening in a certain people's lives. And Buddha says, thus this person will not be subject to decline in the future. He will not decline. That's the first person. Why? Because fortunately, there were the wholesome roots. So when a person like yourself, myself, any of us, do we or do we not have within us the wholesome roots and the unwholesome roots? Okay?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the reason why over time a person change? Like in this case. In this case, what happened? The unwholesome
Manifest.
grow, no? They manifested, where the wholesome decline.
Vanishes.
So why does that happen to a person? Why does the unwholesome quality suddenly grow in a person?
Association with bad people, Bante.
Yeah, very good.
Also,
Because Buddha said, no, clearly there is no other thing other than the association with whom you associate that is going to affect you. If you associate with a noble friend, Kalyana Mitra, Sappurisa, a good person, what fraction of you will grow? The wholesome will grow. See, likewise, if you were to associate with the bad people, then what will happen? Your good qualities will decline. So what might have happened to this person, the first person? In this scenario, what had happened? The unwholesome had grown with him, no? Because he had had a bad association with someone. And what had happened? The wholesome fraction had declined with him. But fortunately for him, in his case, there were still the roots of the wholesome. No? So he could be salvaged, no? In a way, he could be, he was not bound to decline, because still there were the wholesome root. From these wholesome roots, there will manifest the wholesome. It will come to growth. And they can develop, not decline. That person Buddha said will not decline. So, do you remember that there were 500 new monks of Venerable Arahant Sariputta and Devadatta? You know, Devadatta, he wanted himself to have the full, he wanted to command the Sangha. Because Devadatta, you know, he was from a royal family and he had a very appealing figure because he was from a royal family. Even among the monks, he was very beautiful, handsome, attractive person. And in the beginning, he was virtuous. He was able to develop samadhi and attain jhanas. Even Venerable Arahant Sariputta praised Devadatta in the early days. He was a popular monk, and but with this popularity, he quickly gained labha satkara, gain and fame, and that was his downfall. And he thought, okay, now the monks also respected him. People respected Devadatta. They looked up to him. So then he was obsessed by all this gain and fame he got. Then he thought, okay, now everyone pays heed to my words. Then I should now control the Sangha. So he went to the Buddha and said, Buddha, now there are many monks in the dispensation. You cannot control the Sangha alone. More and more people are coming and ordaining. So allow me to help you. You dwell in seclusion. You don't have to, you rest while I will take the burden of looking over the Sangha. So Buddha said, no. Don't even think of that. I am not going to even, I have not even let Venerable Arahant Sariputta or Moggallana that responsibility. It is something that has to be done by the teacher, the Buddha. You can't shoulder that responsibility. 3 times in this way, he goes to the Buddha and asks for him to control the Sangha, to supervise it. But Buddha said no, he did not allow it. So he got angry. Then what he did, he came up with the plan whereby he knew he could lure certain monks to follow him. Even to create schism among the Sangha, he knew he could do that. So he came up with these 5 things. 5 things that Buddha, he knew beforehand the Buddha would refuse. But on the outside, when you look, you feel like they are very good. 5 qualities, 5 things practice. He said to Buddha, Buddha, I think if a monk could practice these 5 things, what 5? If a monk were to always throughout his life dwell in the forest, if only, that means you are always dwelling in the forest, to live under foot of a tree. If a monk was to only have vegetarian food, refrain from having meat, always wear ragged robes, not accept robes from the people, and always go for alms, for pindapata, for food. So if monks were to practice these 5, they will quickly attain enlightenment. So he asked the Buddha to enact this as a rule that every monk should follow. The Buddha said no, it shouldn't be like that. If they want to live in the village, they can. Don't have to be in the forest all. If they want to accept dana, they can do. If they want to accept road people, that's also okay. They don't have to be vegetarian. They can consume meat as well if offered. So likewise, Buddha refused. Then he went to the Sangha and said, look, on the outside, it seemed like this is a very even faster method now. It's more like austere practice. So the newly ordained monks thought that Devadatta was correct. And they fell for this trap. And 500 newly ordained monks, students of Venerable Sariputta, left with Devadatta. Monks told him not to do this. You are creating schism among the Sangha. But he didn't listen. That is a heinous act, you know, one of the 5 heinous acts to create schism among the Sangha. And he left with the 500. Now within these 500 100 monks. There were the wholesome and the unwholesome. Now what happens? They associate with, is this a good person or a bad person? Satpurisa or Asatpurisa? Asatpurisa, a good, bad person.
Bad.
So now what happens? What fraction will grow in them? The wholesome will decline, whereas the unwholesome will manifest. Like in the first scenario, the first person. But there, fortunately, Buddha saw there was still the wholesome roots. They were still there. Buddha saw, like, if he did not intervene, that wholesome root will also be eliminated. So Buddha quickly said to Venerable Anahan, Sariputta and Moggallana, go now, quickly, save that monks from that person. Bring them back. Because Buddha knows if that association were to continue, surely there will be no hope for them. So then Venerable Anahan, Sariputta and Moggallana went there. They taught them the Dhamma. So Venerable Sariputta would teach the Dhamma. That same thing with spiritual powers, Arahant Moggallana showed it, like visualize the teachings, so that they could see in picture format what's going on. When he was talking about the hell, he could show them the hell. Heavenly worlds, likewise, a graphical representation of the discourse by Venerable Arahant Sariputta, and they realized the Dhamma. They became stream entrants. Why? Why were they were able to, the Venerable Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana were able to help them? Because still they are the wholesome roots. That is what saved them. So we have to be very careful about who we associate, because that is going to affect. You can see, with people, what happened to people that live with us, when they associate with certain people, how they take up their habits, and they decline or they grow in life. Even in their life, some achieve success, where some, they totally destroy their lives. Why? Just because associating with people, good and the bad. So it is something that affect person hugely in life. So when it comes to the spiritual aspect of life, we have to be very careful, in particular, as to whom we associate with, if we want to grow spiritually. Anyway, for in success in life, you have to have good friends. So what happened with Devadatta was deluded himself. He thought like he had attained fruits of the path because he had samadhi, likewise. So, and because of its association, these monks almost lost their way. So, and I remember there was an incident like, because in this way, this mind can trick you. If you don't know the teachings, and you just try to meditate and practice, the mind can trick. That's what happened to Devadatta. No, he was tricked by his mind to believing that he had certain realization of the Dhamma, but he did not, because when you think you have realized the Dhamma, but you have not actually not realized, what happens is then you are not mindful anymore, because you think, okay, there is nothing more for me to do. Then when you are not aware, mindful of what's going on, then you easily become a victim of your own defilement. That's what happened to Devadatta. He didn't pay attention to what was going on with his life. So I remember our teacher, he had once gone to a certain monastery, and in the early days, he had met a certain upasaka who had, before he had been a monk in the same monastery, but now he was just a upasaka in lay clothes. So when our teacher had asked, why did you disrobe? He had said, look, one day I practiced meditation and I saw the Buddha, because for many years he had wanted to speak with the Buddha, because he didn't know the teachings of the Buddha. Some believe when you practice meditation to a certain extent, you can actually connect with the Buddha and get direct advice from him. So he might have had this notion. So one day when he was meditating, so then you don't know what this is right samadhi or wrong samadhi, because you don't have the knowledge to support you, to guide you. So in this case, he saw the Buddha in this jhanic state, whatever meditation he was practicing. On a lotus, he saw the Buddha sitting there. And then Buddha spoke to him. When he saw the Buddha sitting on the lotus, he actually venerated the Buddha. In his mind, this is so happening. Why? Consciousness is a magician, no? But he has not read the sutta, so he doesn't know how the consciousness can trick you to believing certain things. So he believed that was the Buddha sitting on the lotus. So then the Buddha spoke to him and said, these days there's no point in ordaining, disrobe. He believed that. But this was who? The Mara that gave this thought to him. He disrobed. And now he's Upasaka. Now, can any person in this world change his mind? No. Why? He got it this directly from the Buddha. So likewise, you can be deluded into believe certain things when you don't have the necessary guidance. The guidance is the teachings. So likewise, a person can be misled easily because the unwholesome roots are there, the delusion in this case. So in the case of the first person we learn, so there is the wholesome and the unwholesome. Because associating with bad people, the unwholesome grows where the wholesome declines. But fortunately, the residue, the wholesome roots were there. Thereby, he was able to grow later on in the wholesome and not decline. That person will not decline, Buddha said. Then he went on to say, so Buddha gave a simile also. Suppose seeds that are intact, unspoiled, not damaged by wind and the sun's heat, well preserved, were deposited in well prepared soil in a good field. Wouldn't you know? These seeds will grow, increase, and mature. So that person, Buddha likens him to a very fertile seed, a very good seed, unspoiled, not damaged. When it is put in a good field, a fertile field, what happens? Naturally, that seed will come to growth, increase and mature. Buddha says, in this way, the Tathagata knows the future origination of qualities by penetrating mind with his own mind. So like Buddha knew how a person would either grow or decline in qualities. He could see into a person's life. Then Ananda, having penetrated his mind with the second person, okay, Buddha tells of the second person. Then Ananda, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. Wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. On a later occasion, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand in this way. This person's unwholesome qualities have disappeared. Wholesome qualities are manifest, but he has unwholesome root that has not been eradicated. From that unwholesome root of this, the unwholesome will appear. So in this case, what has happened? That means he has had some good association. No, the wholesome had grown with him, whereas the unwholesome declined. But still, the unwholesome roots are there. From there, they are manifest and grow the unwholesome. And Buddha says, this person will be subject to decline in the future. So are we safe? Huh? Now we
No,
have the
Bhante.
association with, the noble friends. But does that mean that we are safe? No. That won't happen until you become a stream entrant at least, because still the unwholesome roots are there. And when the surrounding, the environment changes, until you establish yourself on the wholesome securely, we are always affected by the environment. When our associations change, then that will affect us in a bad way, and we can also decline. That will happened. Now think of Kokalika. What happened in Kokalika? He ordained. I think he is a son of a lord from a good family. He ordained, he became a virtuous monk. But what happened in this case? Okay, then he might have led in the beginning good life, monk life. So he came to association with the monks, a good life. His wholesome fraction grew, but there was still the unwholesome roots. Then he came to association with what? Devadatta. He was a very good friend of Devadatta. So he wanted also gain and fame. And what happened? And there was an incident, as I remember. There came when Arhan Sariputta and Moggallana to his temple, where Kokalika is. So, and he didn't tell the villagers though that they were there. The day before they were leaving, he went to the villages and told. He thought like then the villagers will offer many things to Venerable Arhan Sariputta and Moggallana, and they will not take them with them because they have to travel far away. They will leave them, so I can have all that what is offered for them. That was his plan. But and then he went to the villages and told, why didn't you offer something? They were here for many months. You are very unfortunate, you people. Offer them something. So next day, all the people, they didn't know until this moment that they were there because he didn't tell in the first place. So they came and offered. Then the Venerable Arhan Sariputta Moggallana, they thought, okay, it seems like they get in abundance, these four requisites, the requisite they get in abundance. So better we take this with us so we can give this to monks that don't have as much. So they took all that was offered. From that moment onwards, he was very angry with the two chief disciples. And one day he went to Buddha and said, the Kokalika Sutta, it is there. Have you read the Kokalika Sutta?
Yes, Bhante, I have heard about Koka.
Yeah, in the Kokalika Sutta it says like where then he goes there and he goes to Buddha and says like with this venerable, the chief disciples, they are not to be trusted, they are not good, they have they are overwhelmed with greed for the requisites. Likewise, he's telling bad, he's talking bad things about Arhan Sariputta and Moggallana. Buddha said, don't think in this manner about those two disciples. They are very good. But he said, no, I don't. I have faith in the Buddha, but I have no faith in those two, he said. So he was not listening to the words of the Buddha even. But they were still claiming that he had faith in the Buddha. Then what happened? As a result of that bad karma he created by talking badly, disparaging both the chief disciples, he got blisters and then gradually they become bigger and bigger. That his skin was covered, the whole body was covered with certain, how is it explained there? So, somehow he got sick then and there. And there were blisters all over his body and they grew bigger and bigger and he died from that. Even still, he did not get rid of his anger. And he was born in the Paduma era, as I remember, hell Paduma, where he has to be for many, many years, uncountable, many countless years he has to suffer there. Why? Because of the association with Devadatta, the unwholesome grew in him. And then he was subject to decline. That's what the Buddha says of the second person. No, yeah. Thus, this person will be subject to decline in the future. Even a Brahma, when intervened, no, for his past relative, there was a Brahma named Tudu. He also came to Kokalika and said, Kokalika, get rid of your anger toward these two monks. They are very good, or else you are going to fall into trouble. But still, he did not pay heed to what he said, and then in the end, he was born in hell. So in case of certain people, like in our case, though we have this association with the noble friends, still because we may have grown, like we now practice virtue. We develop, we learn the suttas, we try to practice meditation, we attend to the Sangha, we give alms, we do all these things. No? But someday, if we come to associate a bad person, then we may lose everything we have today. And we too will be born in hell. That is why you should be very careful in picking the ones who you associate with. So like even in the case of a partner, I think that's something you have to take into consideration. No? When you choose a partner, whether he is in the first place a Buddhist at least, whether he's following the teachers, whether he or she is inclined to the teaching, because he is the person, he or she is the person you are going to be for the rest of the life. And if that's supposed has to be there for the spiritual maturity, the spiritual growth to happen, because in the Buddha said, no, if you are living with a person who is not virtuous, like yourself, like it's like living with a dead person. Malaminiak, it's like a dead body. Where you are alive because you are virtuous, the other person is as good as dead. So likewise, this association, it affects you. So you have to choose wisely as to whom you associate with. So that is the second person. Then a third person. So Buddha gives a simile. Suppose Ananda, seeds that are intact, unspoiled, not damaged by wind and the sun's heat, will preserved were deposited on a wide rock. Wouldn't you know what would happen? These seeds will grow, increase and mature. Would they? No. Why? Of course, the seed is good, but it is put on dry rock, not fertile ground. So likewise, associating with the bad people is like being on a dry rock, wide rock. There's no fertile ground. So there's nothing to gain from them. So you will decline in your qualities and you will be born in hell. Third person is then Ananda. Having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. Wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. Okay. On a later occasion, having penetrated his mind with my own, I understand in this way. This person does not have even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of bright quality. This person possesses exclusively black unwholesome qualities. With the breakup of the body after death, he will be reborn in the plane of misery, in a bad destination, in the lower world, in hell. So in this person, when Buddha, in the first place, there were the wholesome and the unwholesome. Later on, when you see there's nothing wholesome in his life, not even a fraction of the wholesome. So straight away he will be born in hell. So his whole life is covered with the unwholesome. Like in the case of Devadatta, he created Schismamanda Sangha, a highness sect. He tried to kill the Buddha. Of course, you can't kill the Buddha, but if you shed his blood with anger, like he did try to kill the Buddha when he was on the Vulture's Rock. He climbed to the peak of the rock and he tumbled down a boulder. He pushed a boulder, a rock. Fortunately, another rock came from the earth and stopped that rock, but a splinter hit the Buddha's leg. And in that way, the moment the blood was shed, the evil intention was there, and he wanted to kill the Buddha. So what happened? He created another heinous act. So in this way, his life totally. That is why Buddha made that statement, no, based on this knowledge, Purisindriyañāṇa, the knowledge of the faculties of people. Like even in the Devadatta, there was wholesome in the beginning, wholesome and unwholesome, because he was virtuous monk, he practiced the jhanas, he had spiritual powers. But what happened? The moment he thought, okay, I want to become the leader of the Sangha, that moment it was said that there was the Brahman, no? As I said, Brahman saw that thought. The moment that thought arose in his mind, he lost all his spiritual powers. Just by that thought, he lost all his spiritual powers. And later on, he created this, he committed these heinous acts. And he had a very unfortunate death. In the latter stage of his life, he was sick for 9 months, Devadatta, and he began to think, I have wronged the Buddha in many ways, but still uh, he have not done any harm to me. And he wanted to, he was so eager to go see the Buddha to ask his forgiveness. But and he asked his servants to take him there. When they were nearing the monastery to see the Buddha, he was very thirsty. He saw a pond nearby, and he got down from the stretcher he was carried in. And when he went to the pond to drink some water, and he felt a very heat in his body, unbearable heat, and he wanted to have a dip in the water. But that moment, the earth opened up, and he was dragged into the hell straight away. But when he was sinking into the earth, he looked in the direction of the monastery and said, Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. I go for refuge to Buddha. That will help him one day, that he would become a Pacceka Buddha. So we don't know when that will happen. Now he is in the hell. He is for an eon's time, and he would also have to suffer much before he actually become a Pacceka Buddha. So that is the third person. That means he's like, this can happen in this time as well. Like, some people, euthanasia. No, euthanasia is when you inject person, like if person want to commit suicide, that you help that person, aid that person. Say it's if your mother, a parent, is suffering from cancer or whatever, then in certain countries it's allowed for you to inject yourself, but then you need the consent of your relatives, like maybe in this case, if it's your son, daughter, and they consent to the agreement. The moment they sign and that mother or father is injected, you commit this heinous act. And then what? All the wholesome fraction in your life is lost, just like that, instantly. And then your whole life is in dark. You're covered with the unwholesome, and you will be born hell. In the Samanya Parasutta, as I remember that when Ajasatta comes to the Buddha and listen to the sutta, and he leaves after worshiping the Buddha, said, had he not associated with the Devadatta, and had he not committed the heinous act, because he killed his father, King Bimbisara, according to the words of because he was told to do so, encouraged to do so by Devadatta. See, associating with the bad people, what happens? He killed his own father, and Buddha said, had he not committed that heinous act, he would realize stream entry. Oh, Ajatasattu, the moment Buddha gave that discourse, the Samanya Parasutta. But he had lost that chance. Now what happens? After death, now he's in hell actually. Why? Because of the heinous act he committed by killing his father. So he also falls into the same category, third category, not a fraction of the wholesome, so by which you can salvage his life. Straight away he will be born in hell. Then Buddha said, so in this way we discuss three people, no? Then Venerable Ananda says,
Yes.
when this was said, the Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, is it possible? Okay, I forgot the similes. No, there are simile. And the simile, yeah. Okay. We'll discuss the fourth. Before that, when this was said, the Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, is it possible, Bhante, to describe three other persons as the counterparts of those three? So then there are counterparts of these three, okay? Buddha goes on to explain those three persons. Here Ananda, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. wholesome and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. On a later occasion, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand in this way this person's wholesome qualities have disappeared. Unwholesome qualities are manifest. But he has wholesome root that has not been eradicated. That too will be completely destroyed. So he has both the wholesome and the unwholesome. So later on, Buddha, when he sees him, he sees this person's wholesome qualities have disappeared. Unwholesome qualities are manifest. That means what is association with been with bad people. The unwholesome has grown in him, whereas the wholesome qualities have declined, disappeared. But still there are wholesome root that has not been eradicated. But unfortunately, that too will be completely destroyed. What happens to that person? This person will be subject to decline in the future, says the Buddha. Okay? Why? Even the unwholesome roots that is there, the residue was also eliminated in the end. So then the end result is what? Totally is covered with the unwholesome, and he will decline. This happens when you always throughout his life, the things you do by body, your actions by body, speech and mind, you take up a certain route in life where you again and again accumulate the unwholesome. Okay? So then you grow in the unwholesome. So like what happened to King Superbuddha? You know, Superbuddha was the father of Yasodhara and also the father of Devadatta, of course. So King Superbuddha was very angry with the Buddha because for ordaining Devadatta in the first place and also leaving Yasodhara when Buddha gave up the life as of a prince because of his renunciation. She was left alone. Therefore, King Superbuddha was very angry with Buddha. So he always did the thought unwholesome things about him, thought badly of the Buddha. And there is an incident because he had so much hatred towards the Buddha. One day Buddha was going for alms. He had to go in front of the king's castle. So he got word of this, that the Buddha will go in front of the castle. So he came and he lied down on the road so that the Buddha could not pass. He was blocking the path of the Buddha. And Buddha came and Buddha saw what was going on. And he smiled. And when Ananda asked, why Buddha did you smile? Then Buddha said, Ananda, if a person with bad intention willfully obstructs the path of the Buddha, there accumulates such a karma that in 7 days he will die and be reborn in hell. So it's a karma. The Buddhists do not want that to happen to a person, but that is so. That is how it happens. That's bound to happen. So when the king got to know of this, he thought, okay, I will prove him wrong. So he went to the topmost floor of his castle, the 7th floor. And he advised all his servants, even if I try to get down from this, come down from the upper floor, do not let me. He told his troops, okay, do not let me come down, even if I wanted to, until there elapsed a week, because in 7 days it's okay, no? Buddha said he would die in 7 days. So he somehow wanted to prove wrong the Buddha. So he was there for 7 days, but on the 7th day, there is a horse, the royal horse. It began to make trouble, and no one can tame the royal horse when it gets angry and when it's galloping around, and there's so much commotion. and no one can uh, stop this. So when this sound, all this commotion was heard by the king, he forgot everything about having to stay up there and that he would die likewise. So he came down, and he was in such a hurry and he's such a anger with that even the people let him come down, even his kinsmen, because he's the king. No, he might have their head in the end if they didn't let him down. So they let him go, and the moment he arrived at the lowest floor, when he came outside, the earth broke up, split open, and he was born in hell, dragged into hell then and there. Why? The karma is so powerful, you can't hide from karma no matter what you do. There's no place in the world by which where you could hide from the karma. So in this way, like think of Mahagandia. Mahagandia also got angry with the Buddha because he thought that Buddha disparaged beauty. He could not see the wisdom in the words of the Buddha. When Buddha said, I don't want even touch with my legs, feet, even this body, because he likened the body of a human being, not only of Mahagandia as a whole, to a decorated pot filled with feces. So she got angry at these words, and she did everything she could to harm the Buddha, and by this way she accumulated a lot of unwholesome qualities. So throughout this life in this person, there is the wholesome and unwholesome. He or she chooses a certain path in life whereby continuously they acquire the unwholesome, and their life is filled with the unwholesome, and they decline and they are born in hell. And do you remember that Lord, there was a Lord, very rich Lord, Mahāṇasutta we say. So he was he had great wealth. I think, say in English it would be like 80 million, I think. Not, no, 800 million. Yeah, 10 million. Yeah, 800 million wealth. So, and he married to another, his wife also had 800 million. So all in all, 160 million worth of whatever currency they had, maybe gold we'll say. So he was very wealthy. So his parents, like his parents didn't teach him anything because they had wealth. He said, we will just let him teach him to dance and enjoy life. So that's all he did in his life. And one day when he was uh, going in the town, he saw some people. There were some drunkards. So the drunkards saw the Lord walking by, and they wanted to somehow, you know what some people drunkards did, they somehow want to befriend people who are wealthy, so they can use their money to buy them drinks. They do that. So they also thought of a plan, if we can somehow get him to drink with us, then he will pay for the bills. So when the Lord was passing by the place where they were having drinks, one of them said, oh, it is because of the Lord that we live such a life of happiness. Because normally in you say, no, praise the king, these things people say, you know, when the king is going by, like he said, they praise the Lord, because Lord is also a person, a very important person in the town. So he heard this and he asked his servant, why are they praising him? And what is that they are drinking? So they were also praising the Lord and also the drinks they were having. So the Lord also wanted to try out what this was. And then he went and he befriended these people, and then he became a drunkard in the end. And then they spend the friends make him spend all his money on gambling, on women, and on drinking. All these three things, or any one of these things can destroy any person, no matter how wealthy you are. Even today, this is true. Women, like if you become a lecherous person, and if you become a drunkard or a gambler. So even today, you can lose all your wealth. And that's what happened to the Lord. He lost all of his wealth. And then he had to spend the wealth he had gain from his wife, because from the wife, when he married the wife, he got another 800 million. He spent all that, and in the end they had to, because gambling, when you do gamble, you give up everything. No? He gambled even his house, and they have no place for them to live. They were beggars. They were in the streets. And one day when Buddha was going for an alms round with Venerable Ananda, again Buddha smiles and Venerable Ananda asks why. Why did Buddha smile? Then Buddha points out to these two, now they are old. No place to live, just begging, homeless. So then Buddha smiled and Venerable Ananda asked why. Then Buddha said, those two Ananda, when they were young, if he had begun a business, because they didn't do anything, no, if these two, this Lord had become a business, he could have been the first, the leading Lord in the kingdom. Okay, the wealthiest Lord, but he failed. And in the young, when he was young, if he had ordained these two, the Lord would become Arahant, whereas the wife would have become non-returner. And if middle age, if they had begun a business, he would have become the second wealthiest person in the kingdom. But he didn't do that. Had they ordained in the middle age, the Lord would have become a non-returner, Anagami, whereas the wife would have become a Sakadagami, once returner. So had he become a business in his later stage of life, even in the old age thing, he could have become the third most wealthiest person in the kingdom. Whereas if they had ordained, he would have become a non-returner, once returner, while wife would have become a stream entrant. But that too is lost. All that is lost. Their whole life is now filled with the unwholesome. And now they will be born in where? Hell. Like King Superbuddha, like Magandhya, like so. So that's the fourth type of people we come across. So Buddha gives a simile. Suppose Ananda, coals that are burning, blazing and glowing were deposited on a wide rock. Wouldn't you know? These coals will not grow, increase and spread. Like coal that is put on rock. Will they give fire? Will they increase in their glow? Will they spread? The fire spread? No. The coals. Why? It's dry rock. Oh, suppose Anand, it is evening and the sun is setting. What would happen? Light will disappear and darkness will appear. Likewise, all light in their life is disappeared and the whole life is drawn to darkness in such people. Suppose Anand, it is close to midnight, the time for a meal. Light has disappeared and darkness has appeared. Isn't it so? That's what happened at night. Light disappears and it's total darkness when it's time for meal. Likewise, that the Buddha gives similes to so that their life is covered with the unwholesome. There is no hope for them. So then the fifth person is then Ananda. Having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand some person in this way. Wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. On a later occasion, having penetrated his mind with my own mind, I understand of him in this way. This person's unwholesome qualities have disappeared. Wholesome qualities are manifest. But he has unwholesome root that has not been eradicated. That too will be completely destroyed. So certain person, there is the wholesome and unwholesome within him. Then what happened? The wholesome qualities develop with him still, but there are the unwholesome roots. And what happens over time? Those unwholesome roots too are completely eradicated. All of that are completely eradicated. This person will not be subject to decline in the future. Okay, there was a certain person, his name was Susima. So because the when the Buddha's teaching spread in India, many people ordained in the Buddha's dispensation, and the Buddha's dispensation flourished. And the Buddha and the monks, they gained a lot of gain and fame, whereas the other ascetics, other teachers and their followers lost many of the things they had, the gain, the praise, all the things, the recognition they had. So they, and this group of ascetics, they thought, okay, if we to learn what this person is teaching, then we can teach the same thing and we can gain the benefits they gain, enjoy the same pleasures they have, like the requisite like they do, gain the recognition. That's what they thought, to rob the teachings of the Buddha. So they selected this young person, his name was Susima, and told him, okay, you go to Buddha, ordain with him, learn what he teaches, and we will teach the same thing. And we can also have the recognition thing we seek. We will be also praised. We will be also honored and respected, just like Buddha and the monks. So this was their plan. So Susima came to the Buddha. Buddha knows when he comes. This is why he's coming, of course. So the Buddha let him ordain. So he ordained in the Buddha's dispensation. Now he became a virtuous person. Okay? And he's a monk's life. Now what happened? The wholesome fraction is growing with him. Why he's associating with good people, the monks, learning the Dhamma master. Because he has to learn, no? He's there to rob the Dhamma. So the unwholesome roots is there. Why? He is a thief. His idea is to rob. But he is associating with the good people, the monks. And gradually the wholesome fraction grows within him. And then he see that certain monks come to the Buddha and said, I realized the Dhamma. I have realized the six senses. I have given up my attachment to six senses. I have given up my desire to the five aggregates of clinging. Likewise, in various ways, they express the attainment of the arahantship. So then he would go to each monk and ask, did you just tell that you became arahant to the Buddha? They said, yes, I did so. So now then, because now you are an arhat, can you see into others' minds? Can you tell what others are thinking? Do you have spiritual powers like flying through the air? They said no. To everything he asked, they say no. They can't. Can you recollect manifold past births of yours? He said no, I can't. Can you say move through walls? Likewise, the flying, all things, walk on water, dive in the earth. They said to everything he asked, no, we can't do any of this. Then, but you said you an arhat. How so? He said, like, whether you believe it or not, I don't care, I'm an arhat. So they walk away. Likewise, all the monks, then he asked, goes to them, and can you attain the higher jhanic states where the formless jhana? They say no. Likewise, all the monks, but they do say one thing. They say, we are panya vimukta. We are arhats who have attained liberation through wisdom. So that is the answer, but he doesn't understand. So then he goes to Buddha and said, Buddha, I went to these monks and they answered in this way. I can't understand what they are saying. Then Buddha said, whether you understood or not, they are panya yukta arhats. They are liberated. So he pleads with the Buddha, please teach me what's happening. Then Buddha teaches him about the five aggregates and about the paticca samuppada, the dependent origination. And at the end, he also became a panya yukta arhat. By developing wisdom, he gets liberated. Then Buddha asks, now can you do those things that you looked for, the miracle, the supernormal powers, supernatural powers? Do you have any? No, but still, aren't you an arhat? He said, yes. So then he asked for forgiveness from the Buddha. Why? Because I had this intention, this evil intention of robbing the teachings of the Buddha. So the Buddha forgives him. So by that, when he became an arhat, what happened? even the unwholesome roots that were there within him, they were to completely eliminated. Okay. So likewise, that is the fifth person. This person will not be subject to decline in the future. Therefore, okay. So the similes Buddha gives here is coals that are burning, blazing, and glowing were deposited on a heap of dry grass or firewood. What would happen to the coals? These coals will grow, increase, and spread. Likewise, this person, because he had good association, the monks, noble friends, they are kindled in him the fire, and he was able to grow in the unwholesome and eradicate all the unwholesome that was there within him. Suppose Anand, it is time when the night is fading and the sun is rising. So his life is filled with light. Darkness disappears. Suppose Anand, it is close to noon, the time for a meal. Would you know, darkness has disappeared and light has appeared. So in this way, his life is filled with the wholesome. So that is the fifth person. Okay. Sixth person is then Ananda, having penetrated his mind, with my own mind I understand some person in this way. Wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities are found in this person. On a later occasion, having penetrated his mind with my own, I understand this person does not have even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of an unwholesome quality. This person possesses exclusively bright, blameless qualities. He will attain Nibbana in this very life. So in this case, he has both the wholesome and unwholesome. But later on, Buddha says that he has completely eradicated all the unwholesome. That this person, Buddha does not see even a mere fraction of a hair's tip of an unwholesome quality in this person. For that to happen, you should become an arahant. So he will attain Nibbana in this very life. So there are many such disciples of the Buddha, no? Venerable Arahant, Sariputta, Moggallana. Likewise, in the beginning of the dispensation, many Arahants, many monks attain realization, Arahantship, because they were able to completely eradicate all the defilements from their life. Because in their life, because they had practiced quite a lot of merits, and throughout the samsaric journey, they had matured in qualities, good wholesome qualities. They have practiced the teachings in past dispensations, acquired the necessary merits, and grown in spiritual maturity. That they within them the faculties of Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna, these qualities were very prominent in them. That when Buddha taught the Dhamma, quickly they could realize. And I remember an incident in the Gavesi Sutta. Okay, in this sutta, Buddha comes to a certain place, and when having come there, Buddha smiles, and whenever Ananda asks why in a forest, as I remember, he said there was Upasaka in the Kassapa Buddha's dispensation named Gavesi in this village, and Buddha tells a story where this Gavesi Upasaka, he had, as I remember, like 500 followers. So they had gone for refuge to the Buddha, both himself, Gavesi, and his followers, but they had not still began to keep the precepts. So they were not virtuous in that sense, but still they were followers of the Kassapa Buddha. Then Gavesi Upasaka thinks, okay, then better if I observe the precepts. So he observed the precepts, and then his followers tells his followers, now I observe the 5 precepts. Then they thought, okay, he's our leader, he's following the 5 precepts, we should also take up the 5 precepts. So they together as a whole, the group, they observe the 5 precepts. Then Gavesi Upasaka thinks, okay, I am the leader of this group, but we are similar in qualities. They also observe the 5 precepts, so do I. So then I should take up celibacy. He become a celibate person. Then he tells his people. So they think, okay, our leader is a celibate, we should also become celibate. So they also practice celibacy. Then the leader thinks, Gavesi, okay, now we are again similar in qualities. I should do something better. And he take up refraining from meal afternoon. So then he tells his group and they think, okay, our leader is refraining from meals afternoon. We should do the same. And they take up that precept as well. Then Gavesi Upasaka think, okay, now we are again similar. I should do something much better than this. He thinks he ordains. He ordains in the Buddha's dispensation, Kassa Buddha's dispensation. And soon he realized Dhamma, become an Arhat. And then his followers go to know of this and they also think our leader, he got ordained. We should also ordain in the Kassapa Buddha's dispensation and they also ordain and monks. Okay. Now what does Gavesi, the monk, he thinks, before he thought like we are similar, so I should become better. Now he's an Arahant. Now his thoughts are different. He thinks, how nice would it be that if they would also become an Arahant like me, if they also eradicate all the defilements. So soon after, they also fully realized the teachings of the Buddha and became Arahants. So how did this happen? Because of associating with a noble friend, a good person, who are always not similar with your qualities, who are higher, much better person, who is more virtuous than you, who practice more meditation than you, who is more wise than you. So then you quickly, it's in the suttas, you grow fast. You achieve quick growth in that way. So in this way, like they were able to grow in the wholesome and became Arahants. So like the sixth group, all the unwholesome were eradicated from their lives. Suppose Ananda, coals that are cool and extinguished were deposited on a heap of dry or grass or firewood. These coals will not grow, increase and spread. Why? The Arahants, they are the cool and extinguished one. There is no fire burning within them because they are calm and they are peaceful and they have eradicated all the defilements from their lives. So in this way, these are the 6 types Buddha see. So we also fall into any one of these 6 categories. Okay. So Ananda, among the former 3 persons, Buddha now summarizes the sutta. Ananda, among the former 3 persons, one is not subject to decline. One is subject to decline. And one is bound for the plane of misery. Bound for hell. That's what you learn, no? First one is not subject to decline. So can someone explain what happens in his life? First person. What happened with regard to the first person?
That person has wholesome and unwholesome qualities. But later on, that person associates with that person associate with bad people, and unwholesome increase. But then the Supreme Buddha saw that the wholesome is still there, the wholesome root, and then that person will have chance to develop the wholesome in the future.
Yeah, he will not decline. No,
he will not decline.
That's
yes.
good explanation.
Yes.
So the second person, what happens to him? Huh?
The Supreme Buddha recognizes that there's wholesome and unwholesome in this person, and it contemplates that unwholesome qualities of this person has vanished at the moment, and the wholesome qualities are present. However, the unwholesome roots of that person are still there and will appear.
Yeah, very good. So in that case, the second person, he has good association and then he growing the good qualities, but the unwholesome roots unfortunately is still there, no? And therefore later on he would decline. because from the unwholesome, there would manifest the unwholesome, and then gradually he would decline. And with the third person, what happened? He was destined to hell, no? In the case of when you become like a highness, you perform a heinous act like Anantari Papakam, we say, then what happened? Then you lose all the wholesome, and you are bound to be born in hell. Then Buddha says, among the latter three persons, one is not subject to decline. One is subject to decline, and one is bound to attain Nibbana. So what is the first person there? One is not subject to decline. Who is that? Who is not subject to decline? What happened? First person is subject to decline, even in that case, no? He's subject to decline. How is that?
It's like
So
the
yeah.
yes,
Yes, he's associating with, he has of course both wholesome and the unwholesome. He's associating with the bad,
bad
and the unwholesome grows. But there are still the roots of the wholesome, but that too are completely eliminated, and his life is filled with the unwholesome.
unwholesome.
So with the fifth person, what happens? Like in the case of Susima, we discussed.
Yes, that's so. Yes, Susima Sutta. So the person has Susima has the wholesome and unwholesome qualities. But then that person associate with bad people, then the unwholesome appeared. But then still there are wholesome roots and residue of wholesome roots, and then that residue of wholesome roots bring him to associate with good people, and then later on he developed in the wholesome.
No, in the case of Susima, what happened is like in the fifth person, okay, they are the wholesome and unwholesome. He grows in the wholesome, but still there is the residue of the unwholesome.
Oh
but
yes.
that too is completely eliminated, and then his life is filled with the wholesome, and then thereby he become an arahant.
Yes,
Okay?
Bhante, Muhammad bin. Yes,
And
Bhante.
in case of some, the sixth person, they are the very fortunate ones. So their life is, they completely come to into maturity and growth with regard to the wholesome, whereby they completely eradicate all the defilements from their life, and they attain arahantship. So that is how Buddha see the faculties of the people, the knowledge of the faculties, Purisindriyañāṇa of the Buddha. So all in all, what we have to understand here is how fortunate we are to go for refuge to such a teacher who had such vision, such understanding of how to tame, how to guide his disciples. And accordingly, that is why he, throughout the suttas, that we come across various suttas in various manners, he has taught the teachings, the Four Noble Truths, so that every person can understand and benefit from his teachings based on their maturity, their spiritual maturity. And also the other important takeaway here is associating, how it can affect your life, how important it is for us to preserve the good association we have with the noble friends and continue to grow spiritually, and also be aware of the danger that we are not still fully established in the wholesome. There is always potential there for decline as well. So we have to be very keen on who we associate with, and always be aware of this danger, that if we lose our way, that we too can decline, that danger is there. So we have to always mature spiritually and act in such a way that we continually nurture and nourish the wholesome qualities that we have, protect and gradually nurture them, and so they over time comes into maturity, and that involves a lot of dedication, commitment, and also a lot of patience. So based on these teachings and what we have learned by the teachings of the Buddha, may we all have the good fortune to continue to have this association with the noble sons in this life, also in our next life, and gradually develop good, wholesome qualities within us and continue to develop spiritually so that we may also realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I think it was long today. Sutta was not that long, but it took a lot of time in explaining things. So if you are not sleepy, you can ask questions. It's late at night, I think, for you.
Yes, sorry, Bante. May I please ask Bante about the Buddha Caku? Bante, the first one is Indriya Paroparyatta Jnana.
Yeah.
What's the second one, Bante?
Āsayanuse ඥාන.
Asaya.
Āsayanuse ඥාන.
Yes, Bante.
Āsayanuse ඥාන means Āsayanuse ඥාන means in the English, it's the meaning is that you Buddha could see how in past lives what wholesome qualities that person has practiced. It's in the Buddha, the Marvelous Sage book. It is there. When Buddha,
Yes.
when explain Buddha Caku, that
Yes,
is explained
Bante.
there. You can
Yes.
read.
Yes, Bhavakin Bante.
Okay.
Avasarai Swami Mahansa.
Yes.
Swami Mahansa, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Swami Mahansa, you were talking about wholesome qualities and wholesome roots.
Yeah.
So, Swami Mahansa, these wholesome roots, is it something to do with the spiritual faculties?
Wholesome roots.
Spirit, like Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna, anything to do with them, Swami Mahansa?
Wholesome roots are things that are there as humans when you are born and when we are gone, when we wander in the samsara. That is there. Non-greed, non-anger, and non-delusion. Okay. So based on this non-greed and wholesome roots, which we are talking of wholesome, non-greed and non-anger, non-delusion, we can practice. Like say, these are latent, it is there. Whether you come across the teachings or not, that they are there. The wholesome and unwholesome will always be there until you attain arahantship. Okay? The qualities of Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, Indriya Dhamma we say, these faculties of faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration and wisdom, these you can only develop when you come across the dispensation. Okay?
Yes.
So by developing these faculties, you can gradually eradicate all the defilements that stem from greed, anger, and delusion by developing wholesome qualities that stem from non-greed, non-anger, and non-delusion. Like if you give dana, you are practicing that stems from what? Non-greed. If you are practicing metta, that stems from what? Non-anger. If you have an understanding of life based on the teachings of the Buddha, that stems from non-delusion.
Non-delusion.
Likewise, all that is wholesome stems from these roots of non-greed, non-anger, and non-delusion. So therefore, these faculties, the 5 faculties, can only be developed in the Buddha's dispensation. And even when you are a Shraddhanusari, a faith follower, these faculties are there. Because there is faith. If there is faith, there is effort. There's mindfulness. Then you try to concentrate, like you try to develop in wisdom. But it is only when you become a stream entrant that they actually become something that is part and parcel of your life. So then it's there, then they will be there always with you. So likewise, then they gradually mature. So then they become powers, whereby they help you to abandon the unwholesome. Again, that stems from non-greed and non-delusion, and develop the wholesome, stemming from abandon the unwholesome, that is the base greed, anger, and delusion, and develop the wholesome, for which the base is non-greed, non-anger, and delusion. That is how you mature. That's how you go forward in the path. Okay?
Yes, Swaminathan.
Namaste, Swaminathan. So I also have 2 questions actually. Is
Yeah,
it
sure.
okay? Yeah,
Yeah.
so actually, Swaminathan, so my first question is like a lot of the there's a lot of mention about like the lives of the Buddha, right? Like for example, like about Devadatta and all of those like the events in the Buddha's life, right? Like for example, like when the Buddha was born, right? He walked on 7 lotuses and all those like life events kind of thing. And I'm just wondering like which book does that come from?
Yeah, most of the stories today that we discussed, it's all in the Dhammapada Attakatha. Dhammapada
Okay.
commentaries. So that
Commentaries.
means for in the useful we find the Dhammapada verses, and the reason Buddha, the background story for each of the verses, you find this. There is an incident, no? In the Dhammapada, Dhammapada means we have no Sutta, Geya, Gata. Likewise, the Navanga Sastru says Gata is like in the sense where Geya is when Buddha would, in Dhammapada you get the verses, okay? When Buddha would give a verse to explain a certain Dhamma fact. There is a basis, so that background story is found in the commentary. Why Buddha said this verse? What happened there? Likewise, those stories, for each of the stories today I narrated, there is a verse, Dhammapada verse. I didn't go into that because it would take even more time. So that's how it is. That's where you find this. And even in other things, you find them in the commentaries and also in some case in the Vinaya books, likewise, that's there. Okay?
Okay, Bante. And another question, if it's okay. A lot of talk about generosity, right? But I feel like there's actually 2 ways you can be generous, right? One is like a pure generosity, and then one is like a generosity that's mixed with like self-benefit or like self-attachment, right? Like some people they give something, right? And it might be a little subtle, right? But they expect something back, right? So it could be something as simple as like they expect praise or they expect like good karma in return, right? And like the way I see it is that's not like a pure generosity. That's actually something based on greed, right? What does Bante think about that? And does the Buddha actually say that like when you give something, you should not expect any self benefit in return, not expect anything back at all?
Yeah, this is a very good question actually, because this point is, I think, it's a huge misconception that in the world, like people have, because they believe that it is not good to hope that I will get good benefit from this, in the sense when you give, to believe in the karma, that I will in next life, or I will reap the benefits of this giving. Okay, Because when you give, you get. But Buddha said in the sutta, for it to be a noble sappurisa dana, there has to be the quality of agamana dittiko dhanam deti. To believe that I will reap the benefit, believing in the karma of it. Okay, because I am giving, as a result of this karma, I will also experience good results. I will also get, like, you know, if you give, you get. Having that belief in the karma, that is a good thing, because that falls into right view. So it's a good thing. I have come across even in my lay life many who oppose this idea, because think, when I give, I have no idea if I don't expect a good return from this. But that is a wrong view. What you should have when you give is, you should totally give up the desire for what you are giving. Okay,
Okay,
that should be. But you should not. You should give up the desire for what you are giving, and you should not seek recognition of it. That's not a good thing. Seek recognition. Rather, you should believe, I am doing a good deed. I am developing a wholesome quality. Some people will benefit from this, and also because of this good karma, this will help me in future to realize the teachings of the Buddha. So because when it comes to alms giving, it is very helpful for us in the sense that if you give alms, whether you are born among the devas, whether you are born as a human, if you ordain in a monk's life, it is in the sutta, it is said that you will have these 5 things in abundance. Ayu, varna, sapa, yasasa, adhipati bhava. That means Ayusha means lifespan. Varna means beauty. Sapa, this is comfort. Then you would have a lot of entourage, and you will have power. These things help you to practice the Dhamma comfortably. Even as a human, if you have these things, the practice becomes easy. When you ordain, if you are a person who has given alms in past lives, then you get the 4 requisites easily, Buddha said. And also the other monks will always conduct themselves towards you with thoughts of loving kindness, actions of loving kindness. Likewise, there are many benefits that makes your practice very easy until you attain enlightenment one day. It's very helpful. So if you give dana having all that in mind, that is right view. That's a good thing. Okay? What you have to do is totally give up your desire and to give with respect. Give something of value, in the sense, not if you give with the idea of discarding. Okay, I don't want this, therefore I will give it up. Those things are things that hinder your generosity. The act of giving is tainted in this manner. That doesn't constitute satpurisa dana, good alms giving. Okay, those are the things you should focus on, because there are 5 things, as I remember in the Buddha said, where you have to give with your own hands, you have to give with respect, you have to give believing that I will reap the benefits of this good karma, and there are in certain suttas, there are in some suttas, there are more, even 5, like you have to give with faith. Likewise, it's different in different suttas, different qualities are described. I'm not going to go into detail to that, but there are in certain things you have to establish within you, certain qualities when you give dana. So that is something a wrong view. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay, Swaminathan, sir.
yeah, you
Okay.
can read the Satpurisindriyaṇāṇasutta. There are several suttas. Satpurisindriyaṇāṇasutta.
Purisindriyañāṇasutta. And also, Bhante, I think the same applies to even the virtue, the sila, right? Because actually there are some people, they keep the sila with the idea that, okay, there's going to be some benefit for me, so some self benefit from that, right? Whereas I guess the same logic applies, right? Like you should not do that, right? Like if you keep the sila, you should keep it because it's the right thing to do, right? Like you should not kill others, or you should not steal, or so on, right? Because not because of self benefit, but because it's the right thing to do, right?
Well, yeah. First thing is like you have to believe it benefits you. Okay, that belief has to be there, because that is why Buddha, if a person does not believe, if he does not have fear and shame of wrongdoing, he will not keep the precepts. You should fear the consequences. Okay, the benefit for you when you take up the precept is you will not be born in the bad destination. Because Buddha said, if you kill, if you steal, engage in sexual misconduct, if you lie, if you take drinks and drugs, then you will be born in the four bad destination. First person benefiting is use. Okay, that is the reality. You have to believe in that. That you have. That is where we talk in Sinhala. We say, "Sīle ānusas kalpana karanna ඕන." Contemplate on the benefits of virtue that you have to do. If not, you will not keep the precepts, and you should do so because you have shame and fear of wrongdoing. So you are the first person benefit. But in turn, when you refrain from killing living beings, when you refrain from stealing, sexual misconduct, likewise, the world at large benefit. That is why Buddha said, once you take up the precepts, a stream of merits flows into life. Because you are a person who gives abhaya. That means you are a person who gives life to all beings of the world. No one has to be scared of you because you are not a person who steals. Likewise, with regard to all 5 precepts, you do great benefit to the world as a whole. So you can learn Pancha Bhayavera Sutta. So the world do not have to, you can read the Pancha Bhayavera Sutta. Also read the Purisindriyañāṇasutta. In the Pancha Bhayavera Sutta, you come across this, you are freeing the world of these 5 fears. So thereby you acquire huge merits, because streams of merits, Buddha said, 5 streams of merits flow into a life when you take up the 5 precepts. And when you go for refuge to Triple Gem, 3 streams of merits, all in all 8 streams of merits flow into a life. Abhisanda Sutta, you can read that. As I remember, Abhisanda Sutta. So these are in the teaching, these are taught by the Buddha, these are in the suttas. That is why with regard to dana also, you are benefiting. You have to believe in the good karma. With the virtue, again, there's being virtuous is creating a lot of good karma in this way. You have to have the understanding and you have to believe in this. It's very important. That means to believe in the teachings, because they are in the teachings of the Buddha. Is that clear?
That's clear, Bhante. So I mean, like, I'll be completely honest, right? Like the way I've been doing is, it is like what I do is like I put myself in the position of the one who is of the victim, right? And based on that, like for example, like I will not kill, steal, do sexual misconduct, and so on. The reason I don't do it is because if I put myself in that position, then I don't want that happening to me. So I apply the same logic towards everyone. And actually, that's actually what's been the most powerful for me. So
yeah, that logic
rather than believing in like results and all that, right? Like that's what has worked the best for me. So
yeah, that's good, because that logic was also taught by the Buddha. The Buddha said, put yourself in the other person's place. Like think, Buddha said the exact words you just said, like think, would you like to be harmed? No, no one wants to be. Likewise, think of the same way of the others. That's also right. The logic is correct. Like then you have to know the other things also. It's okay. That's why we learn the teaching, so we can. So what happens is our perspective of life, it becomes broad when we learn more and more things. So now you can give up that wrong way of like not hoping for anything when you give dana. Did you?
yes,
So that is why
right.
learn the teachings. So we know what we've been doing is right, and what we can do more to improve ourselves. So likewise, that is the benefit of learning the teachings of the Buddha. So then we can improve. Okay, so it's good that you are honest. So you can, if you are honest, you can always improve.
Yeah, Bhante, and I believe that, like, the Buddha has also given like many different ways, right? And I guess some ways are more suitable for some people, right, versus other ways, right? So I guess it's
in
really
your
what
case,
works for
like,
me.
yeah, in your case, if you don't believe in the karma, then
No,
you
Bhante, it's
lose out
not.
on, right? Yeah.
No, Bhante, I believe in the karma. It's just that like it's not as like if I can like I believe in the karma, right? It's just that
Yeah.
the other methods work better for me,
Yeah, it can, yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so actually, Bhante,
Yeah,
that
it
brings me
does. It
to
can, for a person, the
yeah,
thinking pattern, it helps in a certain way.
that's
So
true. Yeah.
whatever, where you can ground yourself, you should ground, and the others things help you make you whole. Okay.
Okay,
And
Bhante.
complete. Okay.
Okay, Sadhu Bhante. Thank you so much. Nam Buddhaya.
Yeah. No.
Bante, may I ask a question?
Yeah. Sure.
Bante, we discussed about friends, okay, noble friends. So if a person if a person is able to have a noble friends influence, definitely the wholesome qualities or the wholesome root can be manifested. Right. So it's more of the environment, the outside, that affects this person. So now the situation would be somebody, let's say, who is born in a family, but then the family is very unwholesome. Say, for example, the parents are separated, or let's say he was born, you know, from a single mother. So the environment is not good. So what will happen to this child? So um, so usually the tendency is this child became bad. Okay, so become unwholesome. But then I also understand there are some, despite of the environment, let's say the broken family and everything, he or she, the child is able to come out of it and excel. So how can we explain in this sense that he or she is born in a family with unwholesome, yet he came out wholesome?
First thing you have to differentiate when you think of excelling with regard to what the worldly things or the spiritual. We are discussing two aspects.
Okay.
For a person to anyhow to come out of a hall, that's his past merit. Because of the past karma, you are born in a hall. You don't have a good family.
Yes.
You have to dig yourself out, because along the way, then not only when you are born to the human world, you get the whole package. It's a mixed bag, good and bad karma, both are mixed. Whereas in the Devas world, it's about good karma. Okay.
Okay.
In the human world, it's a mixed bag. So you are born into a bad family. There's a lot of hardship, but also the good karma, when they come to effect, then you can get out of that hole. When it comes to spiritual maturity, then you have to have the associating with the noble ones. Without that, you cannot gain spiritual growth. With regard to worldly life improving, that can happen because of his effort. That also, if a person really puts in effort, maybe because of his skill. Skill also means something he develops in this life or one of his past merits. If he has, like, maybe a person is born into a poor family, he has a good voice or certain talent.
Mm-hmm.
So likewise, that can help him to win the life. So it depends on if it's spiritual aspect, there has to be the association with noble friends, or else you can't grow, okay, spiritually.
I understand. Thank you, Bante. So it's a spiritual. We're talking about the spiritual thing,
Yeah,
okay?
talking
As
about
versus
spiritual.
the one who excel came out from the family and wants to be, you know, much a better person is
Yeah,
it's an effect of his good karma.
yeah, and in some cases, even in those places, they have not heard the teaching of the Buddha, but they have the habit of having practiced certain qualities like compassion,
Mm-hmm.
like these things in their past lives. So they are naturally inclined to help people, like us do good deeds. Therefore, they gain recognition in the society, and thereby they can mature and improve and pull them out of that hole, improve their situation. That we can see, because in that case, that habit helps them. Most of the merits, okay? That's how we have to understand. But the
Thank you,
noble
Bhante.
path always comes with associating with the noble friends.
Thank you, Bhante.